Sophie was 6 when her family moved to the old house. It had a sprawling garden, wild and untamed. In the far corner, almost hidden by weeds, stood a spindly sapling. It was barely taller than Sophie.
I felt an odd kinship with its fragility.
She cleared the weeds, watered the dry earth around its thin trunk. The sapling, she decided, was her own special secret.
Days turned into weeks, weeks into months.
Sophie's life found a rhythm in the old house. She made friends at school, explored the nearby woods with her dog Pepper, but every day, without fail, she would visit the sapling. It seemed to grow a little every time she saw it stretching towards the sun, its branches reaching out like welcoming arms.
I would sit beneath its canopy, sharing my secrets, my joys, my fears. The sapling listened. I was sure of it.
She couldn't explain how, but she felt it. In the rustling of its leaves, in the gentle sway of its branches, there was a silent understanding, a comforting presence that chased away her loneliness. She gave the sapling a name, Oliver. It felt right, like a name whispered on the wind.
As the seasons changed, so did Oliver. Spring painted its leaves a vibrant green, summer showered it with sunshine, and autumn clothed it in fiery hues of red and gold. Winter stripped it bare, leaving its branches stark against the grey sky. But through it all, I never felt that Oliver was truly gone. He was simply sleeping, waiting for the warmth of spring to awaken him once more.
The years tumbled by like fallen leaves in the wind. Sophie grew taller, her laughter echoing through the garden as she chased butterflies with Pepper, and Oliver grew too. It was no longer the fragile sapling she remembered. Its trunk had thickened, its bark roughened, its branches reaching high above the ground.
My friends thought it was strange, my attachment to the tree. They would point at Oliver and giggle, wondering why I spent so much time with just a tree. But I didn't mind. I knew Oliver was more than just a tree. He was my confidant, my silent guardian. He had watched over me, grown alongside me, shared my laughter and my tears.
One day, while sketching in her notepad beneath Oliver's branches, Sophie noticed something peculiar. The lines she had been drawing, whimsical swirls and loops, seemed to be mirrored in the bark of the tree. The patterns weren't exact, but there was an undeniable similarity.
A shiver ran down my spine. Was it my imagination, or was Oliver mimicking me?
She dismissed it as a trick of the light, but a seed of unease had been planted in her mind. The unease grew with time. Oliver's behavior, once comforting, now held a hint of the uncanny. Sometimes, late at night, Sophie would hear the rustling of leaves outside her window. When she peeked through the curtains, she would see Oliver's branches swaying rhythmically, as if dancing to a silent melody. But there was no wind, the air hung heavy and still.
It's just a tree, Sophie. It's blocking out the light anyway.
Her parents, noticing her growing anxiety, suggested cutting down the tree. But Sophie had protested vehemently. She couldn't explain why, but she knew deep down that Oliver would never harm her.
One blustery afternoon, as I sought solace under Oliver's branches after a particularly trying day at school, I heard it. A voice, soft as a whisper, carried on the wind. "Don't be afraid, Sophie."
Her head snapped up, heart pounding in her chest. Was it Oliver? Had her tree spoken? She scanned the branches above, but there was no one there. It must have been the wind playing tricks on her. But as she settled back against the rough bark, she couldn't shake off the feeling that she was being watched, protected.
And for the first time, a part of me, a small terrified part, wondered if my parents might be right. Was my beloved Oliver something to be feared?